Welcome to the GSMC Fitness Podcast, the show that helps you sort through all of the trends, new and old, of the fitness world. We'll talk about yoga, running, Zumba, weightlifting, and everything in between. Whether you've got your fitness routine down to a science or you're just starting out and looking for direction, you'll find educational and entertaining information on the GSMC Fitness Podcast.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the GSMC Fitness Podcast. I am your host Sabrina, and as always, we have different subjects that we're going to cover today, all of which are interesting. I'm going to try to do some and different subjects for you. So some are going to be more fitness and workout, and then there's also going to be some for diet. So regardless of what you want to learn about, we're going to cover today. And before we get into it, I want to say that I hope you're having a good day so far. And if you're just getting up, I hope that you are ready to have a good day. Okay, so to give you a little snippet of what we're going to cover, we're going to get into cardio versus weights first. This is something that, when people start to get into fitness and health, I think a lot of people normally either go with one or the other. And we're going to kind of get into what's the pros and cons of each one, and if it's right to do both together, or if it's wrong to just work on cardio or just work on weights, or if you have to do them on different days, and all that good stuff. And then we're going to get into ways to build muscle. I've talked a little bit about different goals, or how to reach different goals so far, like losing fat and being in a calorie deficit and all of that. But I haven't really covered if you want to build muscle or gain weight, so we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to get into meal prepping, which if you haven't heard about meal prepping, we're going to talk about what it is, why it's good, what it's good for, and how to do it. And then lastly, and this one's really great, especially because I thought of this one because I love this advice, I guess, because I'm someone who doesn't really like the gym, and I don't like having to go to the gym and just do the same thing every day. I hate doing the same thing every day. So we're going to get into some really fun ways to get exercise in, and fun ways to, move your body without having to just go to the gym and use the machines and do all that normal stuff. So that one's going to be really fun to talk about. So to jump right in, we're going to start with cardio versus weights. Now, as I said, this is something that a lot of people kind of don't know which is right, or if you should be doing both. And my advice is to always do both. And obviously, no matter what your goal is, it's important to kind of include both into your routine. So if you want to lose weight and lose fat, obviously cardio is going to be the number one thing that you should be focusing on, because cardio is what's going to be burning calories and burning fat. And if you are wanting to build muscle or gain weight, then lifting weights is the right thing to focus on. But don't think that it's the only thing you should focus on, either or. It's always good to incorporate both within your routine. And the thing is, there's benefits to both regardless of what you're trying to do. So yes, cardio is great for losing weight and losing fat, but a lot of people don't realize that lifting weights, or even just doing weighted exercises, is also really great, because you're still going to be working your body and you're still going to be burning calories, just obviously not at all close to as much as you would when you're doing cardio. However, you are going to be building and toning muscles, and the more muscle that you have, the more calories you're going to burn, because, muscle weighs more than fat, first of all. And when you have more muscle in your body, The reason you're going to be burning more calories is because muscle tissue burns more calories than fat tissue does. So the more muscle you have, the more your BMR is going to be, your basal metabolic rate. We talked about that a few days ago, but it's just how many calories that your body burns at rest. So you're not going to have to work as hard, and it's not going to be a crazy difference, but it is going to improve your metabolism basically. And another great reason to incorporating weightlifting or free weights, whatever you might be interested in terms of trying to build muscle or tone muscle, a great reason is because when you're losing weight or losing fat, you're most likely going to be losing muscle along with it. So if you are incorporating at least some ways of working your muscles, it's going to be easier for your body to retain muscle mass while you're losing weight so that you can try to lose as little of muscle as possible. Because when you do lose weight and lose fat, you're going to most likely want to still have that toned look, and you're not going to want to have that just smaller you look. You're going to want to look toned, and if not, then that's totally fine. But if that is your goal, then it is still important to try to work your muscles as well. And then on the other side of it, if you are wanting to build muscle and gain weight, it is still important to incorporate cardio into your routine because it helps your cardiovascular health, and it helps for you to keep your stamina or increase your stamina, and that's always very, very important for your overall health in general. And another thing is that when people are wanting to build muscle and gain weight, you're going to have to eat more than you usually would, and this sometimes means that you're going to gain fat along with gaining muscle. And if you incorporate cardio, you can kind of lessen that blow of gaining fat while you're gaining muscle, because you're going to be burning more calories, and it's going to help you to kind of just monitor that alongside building muscle. And one thing to remember is that regardless of what goal you have fitness-wise, it's always smart to have a workout plan that includes a variety of different things. Our body usually gets complacent, so if you're doing the same thing every day, a lot of times our body is going to get used to it, and it's going to kind of stop working as efficiently and as fast as it normally would, because our muscles are going to get used to what exercises we're doing. Our ability to burn fat is going to get used to how we're doing cardio and how much. So it is important to kind of switch it up, just like when you are doing muscle training, it's important to do different exercises and different muscle groups as well throughout the week. Now, that's another thing that is a question that I imagine is heard a lot, which is it smart to do both together, or how to incorporate both? So, for example, should you do weights and cardio the same day and split it up within the same day and within the same workout? Or is it best to kind of switch off days? So do weights one day, cardio one day. So this has been answered a lot and researched a lot. However, I've always found that there's positives to both, or recommendations for both sides. So one argument is that it's best to do your lifting or muscle training on one day and cardio on a separate day, because if you do them both on the same day, it can kind of just make your recovery time longer afterwards, because you're not going to get recovery time in between. And another side of that argument is more for if you are wanting to get stronger and build muscle, because if you're doing cardio on the same day as you are lifting, it can sometimes kind of be detrimental to that muscle growth. And to put it into perspective as well, the research that has been done has shown that this is true. So that when you do cardio closer to your weightlifting part of your workout, it's going to slow down that muscle growth. And obviously it's not going to just kind of make it like you never did weightlifting. It's not that serious, but it does have a small effect. And they actually also found that even when the cardio session was done 6 hours away from the lifting session, it still had an effect. So that's also something to keep in mind as well, because I know you're probably thinking, well, if I do one in the morning and one at night, but obviously the farther apart the better, which is why some people say it's better just to separate it by day. Now, another interesting fact that these researchers found, which was done for those who did want to incorporate weights and cardio together, they found that those that performed their lifting before the cardio actually were better off in every test that they did, including fat loss and muscle growth. So that's important to keep in mind if you are someone that wants to include both in the same workout session. So on the other side of things, let's get into if you are that person that wants to do both in the same session, there is still great, obviously, benefits for it. So this should be more likely for you to do if you are trying to lose fat and lose weight, because you are combining, as I said, both, because you're going to try to keep that muscle mass while losing fat. And this is also a good way to exercise because you are going to be increasing other health markers. Like we talked about earlier, cardiovascular health is a big one. You're also going to be getting a good impact on cholesterol levels, lean body mass, which has to do with retaining muscle while losing fat, bone density, hormone levels are going to be better, and obviously fat loss. So those are all really great things about incorporating both in the same session. And on this side of things, research for this way of exercising has shown that when you do cardio before weights or muscle training, this is better for burning calories. So overall, you have to think about what your goals are. So like I said earlier, if you are wanting to gain muscle, it's best to separate by day. But if you still want to include it in the same session, that's fine because it's not going to be a crazy difference, but it's best to do cardio after muscle training. And if you are trying to lose fat and lose weight, you're wanting to do both in the same session. However, you're going to want to go opposite. So you're going to want to do cardio first and weightlifting second. Now, I do hear a lot of confusion about whether or not you have to do cardio. And this is the thing. Technically, to build muscle, you don't have to do cardio. Cardio is not going to help you build muscle. But there's always, always, always other reasons to do cardio. For example, your overall health in general. Like I mentioned many times, cardiovascular health is very important and stamina is very important for everyday life. So don't have that mindset because technically, yes, it's not going to help you build muscle. But everyone should be doing cardio, I would say at least 4 times a week, just because it's just important for obviously physical health, and it's also important for mental health as well. You're going to be releasing endorphins, releasing stress. It's just going to be really great for your overall health. Another question I hear is if weightlifting can count as cardio, and it kind of depends on what types of weights and what types of muscle training you're doing. So another good strategy is that, well, obviously if you're just lifting weights, it's not technically considered cardio because your heart rate is not going to be lifted to a certain point and a certain length of time where it will have a significant effect on your heart and your cardiovascular ability and the calories that you're burning. It's not going to be a huge amount of time or a huge amount of just how your heart is working. It's not going to be as high, obviously, as cardio. So it can't be considered cardio. However, there are ways to kind of incorporate both and do a cardio / weights workout. And it's really easy just to incorporate a little bit lighter weights into cardio, or even things like ankle weights are really smart to kind of work your legs while doing cardio. But there's a lot of ways that you can do both if you are wanting to do exercises that are good for cardio and good for muscle strength and muscle toning. So a lot of like endurance training and stuff like that is really important and helpful as well, obviously. But overall, I just think if you know your goal, it's going to be easier to know what type of workouts and how to schedule and plan your workout. So just keep that in mind, regardless of, if you're confused on which way to go. And another point to make is that either way, you're going to be well off, because you're still going to be, if you combine both, you're still going to be working both. So you're going to be working your cardiovascular health and you're going to be working your muscles, and it's going to be the best of both worlds and the smartest decision that you can make. So I hope that summed everything up. We are going to take a quick little break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to get into building muscle, which is a good way to kind of roll off of this one, because we're going to kind of talk about, ways to do it. And we already covered a little bit, like good ways to plan your workout if you're going to include cardio, but we're going to go more into depth for building muscle, like ways to eat and stuff like that. So stick around and we'll be right back.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast, dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Hey guys, welcome back from the break. We just finished talking about weight training versus cardio and which is best, if it's best to do it together, and also depending on your goals, if it's right to do both, do one or the other, and also how to incorporate both. And we came to the conclusion that if you're wanting to build muscle and gain weight, it's best to separate, but it's best to still do both, but separate by day. And if you are still wanting to include both cardio and weight training within the same session, it's best to do your weightlifting first and cardio second. So that's kind of the first thing that I wanted to put in there, because we are talking now about muscle training and how to build muscle and gain weight. So that's obviously the first thing, is planning how you're going to work out and if you're going to include cardio and all that good stuff. But we're going to go more in depth now so that I can give you some other tips and other ways to build muscle and to do it effectively so that you're getting the most out of your weight training. So basically, to build muscle in terms of exercising, you're basically just having your muscles perform the same thing over and over, because when you have a continual exposure to progressively overloaded forms of resistance training, you're going to see an increase in muscle and an increase in strength. And that's actually just going to increase your actual muscle fibers. And when building muscle and when you're doing this continual exposure, you are needing to significantly increase and basically just add mass and weight each time progressively, which is why it's called progressive overload, because over time you're going to just add strategic effort over time. So when you are planning your workout and what you're going to do to build muscle, it is important to plan accordingly, because you do need to have everything planned in order to know how much weight you're going to be adding, how often you're going to be adding, and just what workouts are best in general. And one good thing to do when you are exercising your muscles is to try to do exercises that are going to incorporate multiple muscle groups at once. So, for example, like deadlifts, pull-ups, squats, things like that are going to be stimulating multiple muscle groups together all at once, which is obviously just going to be greater because you're working out more than if you were to just do exercises that focus on one muscle group, like doing like bicep curls or something like that, where you're literally just focusing on one muscle. Another important thing is to have a good medium when you're trying to decide how heavy you should be lifting, which obviously you don't want to go too light. It's going to have to be a little difficult for you because, as I said earlier, progressive overload means you need to kind of increase that weight so that you can get used to lifting more. But it's also important to remember to not go too heavy, obviously, because you risk injury, and that's never good because then that's going to totally slow down everything you're doing and all your progress, and going to kind of just stop you from actually getting that progressive overload in. So if you are wanting to challenge yourself and go at a fairly heavy weight, you have to also think about reps. So reps is just the amount of times you do each workout, and if you are lifting heavier, you're not going to have to do as many reps. So if you're doing something truly heavy, you don't have to do more than like around 10 or 15 reps, because you also don't want to damage your muscle. And if you are doing a little bit less of weight, that's not as difficult for you. It's important to do more reps. So you can go up to like 20, 30 reps. And obviously, both of these are just an estimate because you have to do what kind of feels right for you. You don't want to go too hard because your muscles are going to become sore, which obviously you're going to have sore muscles when you're trying to build muscle. But also, you don't want to truly work your muscles too hard so that they're strained, because this is going to prevent you from working them more often, because you're going to be dealing with that pain and you need to let yourself recover and let your muscles recover. And then just the more you do, obviously, the weights and the reps, the easier it's going to be for you to lift more weight. And that's where progressive overload comes in. So over time, once you start to feel more comfortable, you're going to have to add some weight. Not too much, but you're going to slowly add more weight over time, depending on how you feel. Another important thing that I talk about a lot in past episodes is resting and rest day, because as I just mentioned, your muscles need time to recover, because if you're straining them, that's just going to work against you. And actually, if you are training the same muscle groups every day, you're actually not giving your body a chance to grow and your muscles a chance to grow. So it's actually not a good thing to be working out the same muscle groups every day, which is why you've probably heard of people having different days like leg day or arm day and such. Now, let's get into diet. So although a lot of people focus on the actual workouts, which obviously you are going to have to know what you're doing and having a plan exercise-wise if you're wanting to build muscle. However, diet is still a very, very important part of muscle growth and weight gain. You could actually say it's the same amount of importance as the actual workouts. Because what you're putting into your body is basically just going to fuel your workouts and fuel your muscles to grow. So if you're not eating right, it's not going to help you out. If anything, it's actually just going to be detrimental to all the work that you're doing in the gym and all the strength and the effort that you're putting in is kind of going to be, or just kind of go to waste, because you're going to need to still have that diet side of things. So probably the most important aspect of diet when you're trying to gain muscle is protein, because your muscles need protein to grow, which is why you probably see a lot of protein supplements and like protein powders out there. And you don't need to spend your money on supplements and stuff like that if you're having the proper diet and getting enough protein in your diet. And the recommended for building muscle is to get around, and it doesn't have to be exact, but to kind of get around 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 190, you would try to get 190 grams of protein per day. If you weigh 120, you're probably going to want to get 120 grams of protein per day, and so on. So that's pretty simple. That's a good thing. But this is just the best to maximize muscle growth. So again, if your goal isn't this, you're not going to be needing to get as much protein. But if you are wanting to build muscle, and especially if you're wanting to add strength, you're going to need to get, usually try not to go any less than that. And really good sources of protein is, you probably know meats are really great sources of protein, and fish. Tuna and salmon are really great. They're very high protein for the volume. However, you can get protein from a lot of other sources that I think a lot of people forget about or just don't know about, like vegetables. Vegetables are high in protein, like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, stuff like that is still a really great source of protein. Yogurt is a good source of protein. There's many things that you can incorporate into your diet to get protein. However, again, sometimes it's going to be a little harder, because to get enough protein, you're going to have to be eating a certain amount that might feel like a lot. And you can also, or this is where supplements come in and protein powders come in, because you can easily get around 25 grams of protein for 1 scoop of protein powder, in which you can add to basically anything like oatmeal, yogurt. You can make a smoothie with it, add it to milk or even just to water and drink it down. So that just kind of makes it easier. Or if you find yourself not, like at the end of the day, not getting enough protein, you can always add that in there just to, up it and kind of get you to hit that protein goal for the day. And that brings me to eating more in general. So in order to build muscle, you're going to have to gain weight. And in order to gain weight, you're going to have to eat more calories than you're burning. And also for this, you're going to have to know your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, which I spoke about a little while ago. I think I was on the subject of calorie deficit and how it's important to know your BMR, because you have to know your starting point. So the BMR is how many calories you burn at rest. And once you know that, you can add around how many calories you're burning through exercise if you are exercising, and then you'll know how many calories you're burning for the whole day. And once you know that, you're able to know how many calories you should be eating. So in order to build muscle, you're going to have to increase that and eat more than you're burning in the day. And a good place to start is to add around 250 to 500 calories per day. And when you're doing this, so say you're adding 500 calories per day, you're going to basically gain about a pound per week, because there are 3,500 calories that technically make up a pound. So in order to gain 1 pound, you're going to have to be eating 3,500 calories. And if you're eating 500 extra a day in 7 days, that's going to be 1 pound gained. And obviously it's not going to work like magic. It's not going to be exact, but that's kind of a good estimate on how that's going to happen. And again, it might not be all muscle growth. It might be some fat as well. And that just comes along with muscle building and gaining weight. It's inevitable. So you can't let that shy you away from it, because it's basically the only way. You're going to have to be ready for that fact. And also, along with protein, carbs are very important as well. They're going to fuel your muscles, especially before working out in the gym. It is important to have a high amount of carbs. So your diet should be very high in protein and very high in carbs. And it's actually been studied that it's really great to try to have a lot of carbs before your workout so that they will actually just go straight to your muscle and help to kind of just fuel your workouts and your lifting sessions. And so when you do try to, eat a carb heavy meal before you work out, or if that's kind of hard for you or you don't like eating straight before you work out, you can always try to make a shake or something like that, like a supplement that has high carbs and high protein. Like there are protein powders that are also high in carb as well. So that's kind of something to think about as well. That's just going to kind of help your workout. And because when like liquids are just absorbed faster throughout your body, it is smart to eat your little meal or snack or drink your workout shake or protein carb shake around like 30 minutes to an hour before your workout, and no sooner than that because your body will metabolize it faster than that. And another pretty interesting thing that you should know is that you should be kind of watching your carbs after your workout. And this is because, pre-workout meals, obviously, like I just mentioned, should be higher in carbs to fuel your body and fuel your muscles. But post-workout meals, if you are having a lot of carbs post-workout, it just increases your insulin levels. And this happens, regardless. Whenever you eat carbs, it's going to increase insulin. But after your workout, when your insulin is raised, it's going to slow down that rate of protein breakdown. So the rate at which the protein is actually going to go to your body and go to your muscles and try to stimulate that muscle growth. It's just going to slow it down. So that's another thing to think about as well. And then another thing is that you should be fueling your body consistently throughout your day. So a good estimate is every 3 hours to eat something, and it doesn't have to be crazy or a full meal, but it is smart to kind of, make sure that you're getting your food and your protein and your carbs throughout the day. So don't try to get all of it in at one point or just like 2 times or 3 times throughout the day. Try to get a little bit of everything around every 3 hours so that you're consistently feeding your body and feeding your muscles. So these are the top things for gaining muscle and gaining weight. So make sure when you are going this route to try to incorporate everything, and don't forget the importance of not just working out, but also diet as well. So it's time for our next break, but when we come back, we are going to get into meal prepping. And this is great for, obviously, if you, like we're just talking about, want to build muscle, or if you aren't into any goals and you just want to eat healthy or whatever it might be, or if you want to lose fat, whatever your goals are, this is going to help you. It's a really great strategy and can also make your life a little less hectic. So stick around for that and we'll be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back from the break. I am glad you're still with me. Let's kind of talk about what we spoke about earlier, which had to do with cardio versus weights. We got into which one is best, or if it's best to do them together. And then we got into muscle growth. And for those of you who want to build muscle and build strength and gain weight, we got into that and everything about that. And now we're going to get into meal prepping. And if you haven't heard about meal prepping, don't worry, because we're going to talk about what it is. We're going to talk about how you do it, and also just basically all the positives to it, because I honestly can't think of any negatives. So let's get into it. And again, this is for anyone, regardless of what your goals are, how you eat. It doesn't matter. It's going to help you regardless. So meal prepping is all about prepping your meals for every day, usually for around a week, and having a plan on what you're eating and cooking everything all at once so that everything is planned and everything is ready, and you don't have to cook every day. That's basically kind of what it is. And so this is honestly for even if you're not looking to even, have any fitness goal in general, like you don't know if you want to build muscle, you don't know if you want to lose weight, whatever it is, it's still going to help you, because I think one of the best things about meal prepping is that, especially if you have a hectic lifestyle, or you work all day, or you just don't like cooking and you don't feel like doing it every day, it's great because you're going to take one day and make all your food for the week, and it's going to be ready, and you're not going to have to think about it every day, because you're just going to get to grab your meals, or if you have to leave the house, your meal is ready. You don't have to stress about eating out somewhere and not knowing what you're going to eat. And again, if you do have goals in mind, one of the biggest things, like say you want to lose fat and you're not prepared with meals, and you go out and you're out at work or you're out shopping, whatever it might be, and you don't have any food with you, sometimes it's kind of hard to find foods out or buy fast food or at a restaurant that is going to meet your goals or meet your needs. So if you're ready with food with you, you're not going to have to worry that it's going to kind of be a detriment to your diet or your lifestyle in general. So as I said, the biggest thing that you have to do with meal prepping is you have to have one day, and obviously it's not going to take the whole day, but you're going to have one day where you can take time so that you're able to make a lot of food and make everything you're going to need for the week. So say you eat chicken and rice every day, or even if you don't want to eat the same thing every day, that's totally fine too, but you're going to make enough chicken and rice for the whole week, and you basically just stick it in Tupperware containers, put it in the fridge, and it's ready for you. And you don't necessarily have to plan like snacks and stuff like that. So it's more for obviously just things that you're going to need to cook. And the reasoning behind it is just so that you don't have to take time out of every day. You're just kind of condensing all of this cooking and all of this prepping into one moment. So it can definitely just make your life easier for the week. Another great way, or kind of just something that meal prepping makes easier, is if you are having to have a very specific diet and you have to basically weigh or portion your foods. It's going to be easier to do this all at once as well. So say you have to weigh your chicken, it has to be a certain grams, then you can do this all together so that it's ready and you don't have to weigh it out every single day, and you can portion it perfectly and just have it ready. And obviously not all foods are going to work well with meal prepping, because like I said, it's going to be for the whole week. So foods that are going to expire faster or not going to be as good after a week is not smart to meal prep. But some good ideas is, like I said, rice, cooked chicken or meats, beans, grains or pasta, vegetables, fruit, cheeses. You can even have like your dips or dressings that you need packed in there as well, obviously on the side, or else your meal's going to be kind of soggy. But that's besides the point. So those are some things that are usually good. But also, obviously, some things to keep in mind is that like softer fruits or things that will get kind of mushy won't work as well to meal prep, or even like fried foods or chips or something like that. Obviously, they kind of get a different texture over time and lose their crunch and lose their appeal. So it's smart to know, what you're meal prepping, because kind of make it some foods that are going to last and kind of stay the same taste and the same texture. And obviously, if you're not sure, just check expiration dates on your foods, or if there's no expiration dates, always, you can go to like FDA and stuff like that and just kind of look up online, how long your food's gonna last, or just how long your food will actually, keep its taste and its texture and stuff like that. So when you're starting meal prepping, a really smart thing to do is to go into it kind of slowly, I guess. So as I said, normally once you're used to it, normally people do like a week, sometimes like 5 days maybe, but you're going to want to try it out and maybe just do like 1 or 2 days in the beginning, just so you can kind of test out how you like it and how you do with leftovers and texture and taste of food, because I know some people are really funny about that and don't like food after it's cooled down like at all, and it's kind of like donezo for them. So obviously, you should try it small, because if it doesn't work for you, you're going to waste, a whole weeks of food. But also that kind of gets me into pros and cons of it. So I kind of already mentioned the pros, like hectic life, just makes it easier for you to stick to your diet plan, makes it easier for you to know what you're going to eat that day. You don't have to cook as much. But as I said before, I don't really see any cons in it, but I guess that would be one. So I guess there is a con if you're not someone who likes leftovers. If you're someone that literally just only eats fresh food, I don't get it. If you don't like pizza the next day, I don't get it, but that's all you. But that's something to keep in mind. I guess that would be one con to it, is if you just don't like, leftovers. But anyways, back to how to start would be to start slow and small, just to test it out, see what you like. And you can also test out different foods. So do like 1 day of meals, it's one type of foods, and then the next day try out different foods, because maybe, if it's kind of like fresher foods, like fresh vegetables or fruits, and incorporate something else in there, then you can do that, and it usually won't change taste or texture and stuff like that. And obviously, for someone who's a little more paranoid about eating food after a certain date, you don't have to do like 5 days to a week, because I know a lot of people like tell me I'm crazy for that, because they're like freak out about food freshness and all that. But as I said, it depends on like what you're making. But you can always do like 3 days or 4 days, or even like 2 days. So cook every 2 days so that you don't have to cook every day. It can also make a difference as well. And then I kind of want to get into, what should be in every Tupperware container, or what every meal should include. So obviously I'm not just saying meal prepping is like taking a bunch of protein bars and like throwing them in your bag and be like, okay, this is for the week. Like, you're wanting to actually make meals and make good meals. So a good way to, go about it is, if you just have a normal basic diet, try to incorporate some type of protein like chicken or meat, a grain like rice or pasta, and then also vegetable. So you can put broccoli in there, or make a little stir fry. That would be cool. And then if you have a certain diet, then obviously you can make it how like opposed to you. So like low carb, you could just do the protein and the vegetable and double up on like vegetable or protein, so that you don't have to include the grains. So it's all up to you, but you do want to kind of make it like an actual meal. You're not just wanting to put some snacks away so they're ready. And then basically the only thing you need is Tupperware and containers. And you're going to want to have a good one. I always recommend glass containers, but it's always important to get good quality ones that are also really great and seal like very, very good, because the better or the worse they seal, you're going to run the risk of the food kind of just going bad sooner and not being as fresh. And because I know I kind of grew up with like putting food in foil or like Ziploc bags, and Ziploc bags work for like certain foods, obviously like nuts and stuff like that. But I wouldn't recommend trying to put most in foil or Ziploc bags. It's always best to have an actual Tupperware container that seals. And then you can always get containers that have like the multiple ports inside, like multiple little sections, so that you can separate your food so that it doesn't all get mushed together. Because I know people are weird about that too. People being me, I'm very weird about that. I don't like my food touching. I don't believe in, oh, it all goes to the same place. No, I don't like it touching. So don't think, you have to just put it all in one piece. Or you can just separate it within different containers. And that actually also helps if you buy containers that are actually measured out for you. So if you buy like Tupperware that's, say, like a cup, because you want a cup of berries, then it's going to be easier for you to kind of measure that out, because you could just pour the berries right in there and you're getting about a cup. So that's also something to think about as well, just to make your life easier if you are measuring foods. And also another thing I wanted to mention, for those of you who are a little funny about eating food after a certain amount of days, you can also put your meal prep into the freezer and freeze it instead of refrigerating it. I know a lot of people do this as well. I personally am opposite, so eating leftovers in the fridge doesn't bother me, but a lot of foods, once frozen, I can't eat once they've been frozen, because I can taste the freezer, if that makes sense. I can taste that it was frozen, and sometimes it will get a bad texture, and so like that kind of thing I'm not like, I don't like. But a lot of people do really love freezing their meal prep so that it will last longer. So also you can try that out too if you'd like, just to see if that's something that would make it easier for you or make it more enjoyable for you. And also something else to remember is, I think I said a little bit earlier about how you can even have your sauces or dressings ready when you're meal prepping as well. But I think I said this, I'm not sure, but it's important to have a separate container for that as well, or have one of those like little mini containers, kind of like that the restaurant gives you, like ranch in and stuff like that, to put inside the Tupperware, because you're not going to want to be putting like sauces or dressings on your stuff if it's going to be sitting there for a few days, because obviously that's going to make it definitely change texture and get soggy and all of that, make it kind of like just moist and but if you do, you're obviously going to want that ready as well. So put that inside the Tupperware container so that that's ready, and so that it's not going to kind of like change your food and just make it all the bad stuff. And then again, if you do have a very specific diet, you are just going to make it easier on yourself having that ready as well, the sauces and dressings and all that, because you can pre-measure it. And again, that's just going to be saving you time. And another thing that actually meal prepping does is save money as well, because as I said, when you're out or at work and you don't bring food, you're going to have to be spending money out and buying lunch or breakfast or whatever it is, out, fast food or restaurants and all that. And it can actually really save you money, because obviously when you cook at home, it's just so much cheaper. And you could actually like add up everything and just divide it by the days that you're making it, and you can see actually how much money you're spending to eat every day. And it's going to be significantly lower than if you are having to go out and eat out every day. But yeah, that's basically everything about meal prepping. It's pretty simple, as long as you know how to cook or cook the meal that you want. So that's obviously the first step. But once you do that, you just have to plan your day and make everything ahead, have the containers, know what you want to eat, and know, if you have to measure it, how much, and it will just be there ready for you. So I obviously recommend trying it out. Like I said, you don't have to start out, full force and do a whole 5 days, 6 days, whatever. You can always start out just one day, see how you like the leftovers, see how comfortable you are with it, and then take it from there. But it definitely just has a lot of positives, and can't really go wrong with it unless you're someone, obviously, who doesn't like leftovers. So we're just going to take one more break, And then we're going to hit our last segment, which is going to be helpful for anybody because you should be exercising regardless of who you are, what your goals are, because it's great for your overall health, physical and mental. And I know a lot of people, including me, don't like the gym and also just kind of get bored and don't like doing the same thing every day. So I'm going to be giving you a list of some really easy and fun ways to exercise and work out and move your body that aren't solely just going to the gym and doing that boring same thing every day. So stick around for that and we'll be back right after the break.
The GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Hello, welcome back to our next and final segment. We've had a very diverse episode today because we've spoken about, fitness, and we also spoke about diet. So we got into cardio versus weightlifting and muscle training. And then we also got into ways to build muscle and how to gain weight and try to, help you out if that's your goal. And then last segment, we spoke about meal prepping, which is helpful for anybody, regardless of your goals. And now we are into our last part, which is giving you some really fun and a little more easy ways to incorporate exercising into your daily routine, ways that you don't have to go to the gym and have to, use the machines and do that same thing every day. So this is pretty much perfect for anyone, but mostly specifically for those of you, and I'm going to say those of us because this includes me as well, who don't like going to the gym and don't like doing the same thing every day. So I get really bored easily. So I'm someone that doesn't like to just go into the gym every day and do the same thing and just have the same routine. And also a lot of people, especially if you're just starting out, a lot of times, it can be just kind of overwhelming going to the gym and figuring everything out. So sometimes it's great to start small and not necessarily go to the gym right at first because there's a lot of other things you can do. There's also the issue with going to the gym of, just time. A lot of times it takes time getting into the gym and like doing everything and getting around. Sometimes machines are taken. Sometimes, it's just busy, stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that can kind of make people shy away from going to the gym and having to go through all of that. So let's get into some other fun ways to work out and exercise. So the first one is going to be if you are okay with going to the gym, but you just kind of need something a little different. It's always cool to have a workout partner or a friend that you can work out with. A lot of times this can make your workout go faster. It can make you feel a little more comfortable when you have someone else there doing the same thing you're doing and supporting you and all that good stuff. So that's always something to keep in mind. Again, if you are someone who does want to go to the gym or doesn't see a problem with it, that's always something you could do. Another thing is to take a fitness class, a group fitness class. When you are doing this, it's easier because you're not having to think of a plan of what you're going to do. Firstly, you're not going to be alone. You're going to have other people there. You're going to have other people doing what you're doing, and it can also be really fun and uplifting rather than just slaving away on your same old machine that you usually do. And there's also like many different fitness classes regardless of what you want to do. Like you could even do yoga or Zumba or something like that that is known to be really exciting and really fun and is a cool way to especially just get cardio in. It's really smart to do that as well because it's just a more exciting way to work out than just, running for an hour. Another thing is to think about just changing where you're working out. So a lot of times it's really great to work out outside. It can just kind of change your whole mood and change your workout and just give you a different and better experience. So you could work out in the park, you could work out in your backyard, any place that's a nice view and just a nice setting and kind of peaceful is a really great way to change up your workout. So you can do the same workouts that you do in the gym as long as it doesn't require a machine and just do that, but just do it outside or in a different setting. Another way to work out that's perfect for those of you who don't have time or don't want to leave your house, this is me again, I like to work out at home, is to work out at home but find some type of videos, workout videos or workout, anything you could find online. So even YouTube, for example, is a great way to start. But if you do find a really great workout online that you can do, that's also a really great way to spice up your workout and also be able to do it from home. So this is obviously going to save you time, save you just the fact if you just don't want to leave or get ready, stuff like that. It's always great to keep that in mind as well. You just need a little bit of space and you can even try, so if you are wanting to do things that, kind of require some equipment, you can even invest in a few different things like some light weights for at-home use. So you can kind of feel like you are kind of getting that gym-esque workout a little bit. So that's always something to think about as well. And then back on the subject of workout partners, you could also have a workout partner as your pet. So if you have a dog, you can always take them on walks or even like jog with them. And that's always obviously the best companion to have. My dogs love walks and they love running. Like my dogs don't slow down. A lot of times like they're pulling me. So that's also a really good way to kind of get some cardio in as well if you do take your dogs out, and then obviously they're going to benefit from it as well. And another way to just kind of have a funner way of working out or more fun, whatever the way to say it is to incorporate different objects that you can work out with. So for example, you could try say like jump roping, and that could kind of change your workout, and also you could do it from anywhere really, and that can just kind of change it and make it a little more fun, and you might discover something that you like. And so that's a good thing to think about too. It doesn't necessarily have to be a change of place, but it could be a change of things or what you're using to work out with. And then there's also other ways to work out that you might not think is technically working out, but just ways to kind of do things that you normally like wouldn't really think are working out, but they're easier to add rather than going to the gym. Like I said, like taking your dog for a walk, or you just going out for a walk, or even cleaning the house. Like take a day and clean the house. That's also a great way to get your heart up as well. So just normal things that you would do, or even like going bowling, just anything that's going to take your body to use your body and kind of get your heart rate up for a significant amount of time is also going to kind of count as, not a crazy high intensity workout, but it can definitely have an impact. Also, if you're someone who does like high intensity, or you are at a fairly high fitness level, and also if you're competitive, this is again me, I'm very competitive, but you can even join things like mile runs and stuff like that, like community runs, races. I'm sure if you look it up, there's going to be stuff around you, but stuff like that is really great for people who are competitive, because that's going to kind of force you to want to do your best and want to win and get a great workout in at the same time. And on the subject of competitiveness, another great way to use your competitiveness in a way to get your workout in and exercise more is to have a fitness tracker. And I swear by Fitbit, but any fitness tracker, really. I've never tried out any other ones, but any type of tracker so it's kind of like a fitness watch that tracks your calories, steps. It can even track your sleep and just so many things, is really a great way, especially if you're competitive. And it's a great thing because you're technically just competing with yourself, because you're going to be looking at your stats and you're going to be like, no, I have to step it up. I have to get my heart rate up more. I am low on calories. I'm low on steps. I need to step it up. And I talked about this before when I gave you guys a list of some really great devices, I guess, and apps that really help to enhance your fitness. And this was my number one was Fitbit or any fitness tracker, because you are just going to want to do better. And also there's actually features on it where you can kind of connect with other people, and they actually have challenges. So like say you have to meet a certain amount of steps for the week, and you can join with your friends and you can, compete with that. So it's kind of like a way to virtually do that, which is really, really cool as well. Another thing you can think about is joining a sport, like taking up basketball. I love watching basketball. I love playing basketball. And the reasoning is not to exercise. But let me tell you, it is a great exercise. I just do it because I love it. But it's really, really great for getting your heart rate up. And I remember like the first time I started trying to take up basketball and actually participating like in an actual game and not just trying to shoot around like easy stuff. And I just remember the next day feeling like I got hit by a truck, because when you take up something that you're not used to, you're working so many parts of your body and so many different muscle groups that you probably didn't even know you had. Believe me, I felt pain in places I never even knew I had like any type of way to work. So any type of sport, or even like swimming and stuff like that, take up something different, something that moves your body different. And you could definitely be getting some cardio out of that, and even like working your muscles. Like I said, you'd be surprised at how serious, doing sports can be. And honestly, it could be really anything that you'd want to take up, or tennis, something a little easier on your body, like anything really just that will kind of just get you to be a little more active and fun at the same time. Bike riding is another good one. This is a really great way, especially if you have any type of issues in your body, or like joint issues, or knee issues per se, but anything really. It's a great way to still be active without having to use your joints and use your muscles by, walking on them or even running on them. So it's kind of a way to just get a little more low impact of an exercise so that you're still able to work out and get your heart rate up. And it's still going to be a really great way to get that cardio in and obviously raise your heart rate. And if you have a place or you live somewhere that has good hikes, that's also something to think about as well, because that's a really great way to, do a little workout session, because it's really no joke hikes. So I live in Las Vegas and we have a lot of mountains, and I've hiked one mountain, the same mountain, a few times, and it's really no joke. It's a tough, again, like basketball, like my muscles the next day were just crazy, and it's obviously great cardio as well. But on top of that, it's great scenery and just a great way to kind of distract yourself while you're working out, because you don't necessarily realize you're, working your body so hard, because you are able to see all these beautiful things, the beautiful nature, and also just kind of just get something different and a more fun way to be active. So that's also something to think about as well. And it doesn't have to be mountains. I'm sure there's like little hike trails or places that you could find to hike where you live. So that's also something that you could research on as well and try to find. And you could even try to do some type of recreational activities like golf. I'm not sure if golf is considered a sport because I talked about sports, but something that's a little easier, like golfing, just so you're on your feet for the day, or even like batting cages, putt even, as long as you're up. And obviously these are going to be things that are going to be less crazy active. It's not going to be a crazy workout or high intensity if that's what you're looking for. But basically everything I'm mentioning or most of what I'm mentioning, like these things that are a little low intensity are still going to just make you be a little more active and just kind of get your heart rate going. So this is also really good for beginners, something like that, like golf or putt-putt or batting cages, something like that. And then also if you live by water, it's you could do really much, like kayaking, or basically, and like kayaking is really great for your arms, actually. It's a really great workout, but just something to think about as well, because I think I mentioned swimming earlier, because that's actually a really great workout, but you don't even have to do anything as intense as that. But like kayaking, as I said, is a great workout as well. And especially with all of these things, to think about when you are participating in them is to do them for a certain amount of time. So don't just go and do something for like not that long, because the point is that because a lot of these things are lower intensity, you're going to be doing them for a little longer or most of your day, so that it is going to make an impact on your fitness level and how many calories you're burning and how you're going to be having a positive effect on your cardiovascular health and just your health overall. It's important to, just try to do these things for longer or most of your day. Like take a day, say you're hiking, take the day to try to hike and try to like make it last for just a little bit longer. So hopefully this was enough things that you found something that you're interested in or would be willing to try. I personally would try it. The more, the better, because it'll obviously be easier for you to find something the more things you try. But all of these are really great ways. So I truly recommend doing it. Most of these, at least trying them, because it's just going to make your life better if you're someone who doesn't want to do the same thing all the time. And honestly, it's just better for your body and your workouts in general, because it's always great to switch up things so that your body doesn't get too used to whatever you're doing. And you're going to get a better workout if you're kind of working different muscles and just doing different things. So that's also a really great thing to do as well, or just a great reason why doing different things can actually have a better impact on your actual workout. So that's all for today. I really hope that you found every segment informative, but hopefully at least something was up your alley. And yeah, I hope you join me again next time. And thanks again for listening to the GSMC Fitness Podcast.
You've been listening to the GSMC Fitness Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Google Play, and any app where you listen to podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of the shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, from business news to weird news, we cover it all. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook and listen to these podcasts on YouTube. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's podcast.